Hello, everybody. Great discussion this morning on Facebook. And what is going on with their monitoring and controlling some of the topics? Should they have something in place that really stops false information? How could they do that? And what's the real motivation behind all of this? This was a great discussion with Mr. Christopher Ryan. We also got into how the General Services Administration has completely messed up its authorization, this FedRAMP authorization. Why are our federal agencies using some tools like Zoom that have been proven to be very insecure, and they're using them with the blessing of GSA, who says they're secure? So here we go.
Chris Ryan. Craig Peterson is the host of Tech Talk on News Radio 610 96.7. You can check him out Saturdays and Sundays at 11:30. Craig, how are you?
Hey, good morning. Doing great.
Appreciate being with us. So one of the topics we have delved into today is social media giants and censorship of quote-unquote misinformation, as the White House weighed on this last week and criticized Facebook as being a purveyor of misinformation based upon allowing individuals' platforms to push forward their opinions. And from a media standpoint, we have gatekeepers here that are available and able to squelch misinformation and provide and create an environment where you can provide the most accurate information as possible. Is there any way, shape, or form that a Facebook or a Twitter can have any sort of an algorithm or staffing or personnel? This is not even whether you should do it or shouldn't do it. Is it in any way feasible or possible for them to strike down misinformation?
Yeah, this is a tough one, right? It's easy enough. You've got, of course, Justin sitting there with the big button, and he can cut us off at any point. But when it comes to Facebook or Twitter or many of these other big places, you have, what is it now? It's almost 1 billion active users per month just on Facebook. So what you were asking about is there some sort of an algorithm? Obviously, people can't do this. And the answer is, I had a really interesting article I'll be talking about next Saturday about IBM's Watson. You probably remember Watson pretty well, right? It was going to rule the world. It won Jeopardy. It was absolutely amazing. And it really hasn't done much since then. Yeah. And it's one of the most advanced AIs we've had, and Microsoft and Google both have them. China's working on artificial intelligence to try and figure it out. But the biggest problem that we have is, what is the sentiment there? Right. How can you tell an article is criticizing something legitimately, or if they are endorsing something that might be a bad idea, then who gets to choose what's a good idea, what's a bad idea? This is very difficult to do, Chris.
Yeah, and there's no rules either. I mean, as I said before, I don't think it was appropriate for social media to ban Trump. I don't. I think that there's a lot of individuals that push forward misinformation and have a lack of truth, and their intent is not good, and they're still allowed to do whatever they wish. I think that you have to create a platform and a infrastructure to make a determination as to what the rules should be and how many times do you get to push things forward that aren't true, or et cetera. There's no rules.
Yeah, I look at this as well as a profit motive on the part of Facebook, certainly, and these others, and that is they want you watching the Facebook channel. They want you on that feed all day long. So the more that you are interested in a topic or a position, maybe a position that's totally false, maybe you are a flat earther, the more information they're going to feed you about how the earth is flat and less about anything else. So what we've ended up with now with these social media sites is something that really polarizes us even more than we were polarized before, because we see more and more information that confirms our suspicions and where we're at. So I see that as an even bigger problem, because we're frankly getting isolated. We don't have the editorial in the newspaper that might be left, might be right, might be center as time goes on by these submitted authors. It's showing you what you want to see, and that's a big problem.
Right, and the Facebook feed has also changed over the years, where initially it was just your friends, basically, and their information. More and more, the feed has gotten filled topics that they have been able to determine that you're interested in, and sources that may or may not be accurate that presenting that information. And this has happened to me, and I'm sure it happens to everybody else. So you may click on one of those articles and be interested in it, and then the next thing, 50% of your feed is similar articles or ads that are associated with things that you have looked up. So the Facebook feed has changed dramatically over the years, to the point where it was initially there weren't a lot of ads and you wondered how they made their money, to the point of which now where there is a lot of ads, and they're also continually feeding you information on topics that you're interested in.
Yeah, and topics that, again, might be correct, might be false.
Right.
And what Facebook is doing...
So they're, in fact, giving you information that may not be accurate. It's not just your friends. Facebook itself is providing you with information that may be false.
Remember the days in Facebook, or again, earlier on, where if you followed someone, if you liked someone, you would see their posts. They would show up in your stream. Now Facebook realizes, oh my goodness, you've got hundreds of friends out there. They're all posting stuff. And Facebook makes a decision about what you are wanting to see. Many of the celebrities dropped off of Facebook because people that wanted to see their posts were no longer seeing them because Facebook was moderating it. So we come full circle on our discussion. Facebook is doing moderation, and the moderation they're doing is, again, isolating us and dividing us even more. That's a huge problem. What's the solution? With this day and age, I'm not exactly sure, Chris, because the algorithms are there. They could be doing more moderation. Should they be doing it? And, of course, that's the whole discussion around Section 210. Exactly.
So let's talk a little bit about Zoom. And an article has come out about Zoom and its cybersecurity issues. And the GSA is blocking Senator Ron Wyden from reviewing documents used to approve Zoom for government use in government meetings. And this is not just the federal level. It happens all the time at the local level as well. And there were initially concerns about cybersecurity and Zoom, but a lot of those concerns and the topic of conversation about them seemed to go away during the course of the pandemic. How safe is Zoom? And obviously you have individuals, whether it's from a nonprofit, private sector, or government perspective, who are discussing extremely sensitive things on Zoom, and they assume that no one is listening, but are they?
Yeah, that's a real bad assumption, particularly when it comes to Zoom. What the big concern here in this particular article that appeared in TechCrunch has to do with the investigation that's done by the Fed. So we know there's obviously information needs to be kept secret, other classified information, and then there's information that might be damaging. And what's happened here is the General Services Administration gave Zoom their authorization. It's called FedRAMP authorization, saying, yeah, go ahead and use it. It's going to be fine. Everything's great. Turned out Zoom was not encrypting these sessions from end to end. In fact, routing some of our conversations live through China. They're using Chinese programmers to write this stuff. They installed back doors on Macs, just all kinds of incredible, terrible stuff that Zoom had been doing, and some of it is allegedly continuing to do. And yet, somehow, it received this authorization from the GSA. How the heck did that happen? Now, there are some secure ways to speak online. Really, WebEx is the only one that is fully authorized, and you have to have the right version of it. Microsoft Teams has some stuff that is also authorized and is truly end-to-end. Zoom is not to be trusted, but what really concerns me is it looked like the federal government's delving into any of these tools to verify whether or not they appear to be safe was just terribly flawed, and that's exactly what the senator's been trying to do. why and how, and they're just not providing the information.
Yeah, I have a basic theory that applies, I think, to tech and social media. If something is free, ask why. And figure out, why is this free? Why are you able to do it for free? What is in it for the company? And then make your determinations as to whether or not you want to use it. But I think that people are all in on giving their information, using these things, and they don't really understand what is the business platform? How is this being used? And I think that is something that individuals should be cognizant of. Craig, as always, thank you so much.
Take care.
That is Craig Peterson. He is the host of Tech Talk.